My girlfriend stole my academic paper to help her childhood friend secure a guaranteed spot in a graduate program. Not only did they publish the paper first, but they also turned around and accused me of plagiarism. After the story blew up online, I was viciously cyberbullied and fell into a deep depression. Meanwhile, her childhood friend became a rising star in the academic world because of my paper. The day he won his award, my girlfriend was waiting with a bouquet of flowers, ready for his proposal. That same day, I jumped from a rooftop to my tragic death. But when I opened my eyes again, I had somehow returned to the day I had just finished writing the paper. Chapter 01. Sincere Smith. A few urgent calls snapped me back to reality. I was stunned to see the person who should have been at Ethan Williams' award ceremony sitting right in front of me. I hesitantly touched my wrists. The places where the bones had shattered from the fall were now perfectly intact. Could it be that I was reborn? Sincere, what's wrong? You've been out of it. Were you up all night working on your paper? By the way, I told you to bring it so I could help you edit it. Did you bring it? When Victoria Johnson mentioned the paper again, I was certain. I had been reborn. In my past life, Victoria used this exact excuse to get me to hand over my paper, saying she would do the final edits so I could get some rest. I never suspected a thing. I trusted her completely. I never imagined she would turn around and give my work to her childhood friend, Ethan Williams. The two of them conspired to publish my paper first. When I submitted it later, unaware of their actions, they accused me of plagiarism. No one listened to my explanation. After the story was posted online, I was relentlessly cyberbullied and developed severe depression. When I confronted Victoria, she just gave me a cold glance. You've always been such an excellent student, winning so many awards. What's the big deal about letting Ethan have this one? Stop being so dramatic. It's just a few insults online. If you just bear with it, it'll blow over later. Ethan truly did become a sensation in the academic world because of my paper. But I, unable to bear the constant attacks from all sides, leaped from a rooftop to a tragic death. And that day was the day Victoria waited at Ethan's award ceremony, expecting his proposal. The memories were vivid, and I could almost feel the shattering pain of my bones and organs all over again. I suppressed the intense physical revulsion and shook my head, lying to Victoria. No, I forgot to bring it. You forgot? I reminded you so many times. How could you forget something so simple? Are you an idiot? There it was again. Whenever I failed to do what Victoria wanted, she would belittle me relentlessly. In my past life, I was a lovesick fool. For the sake of Victoria's phantom affection, I endured it again and again, lowering myself constantly to maintain our relationship. It wasn't until I was dying that I learned she had been in love with Ethan for years. I was just her second choice, a tool to make Ethan jealous. But since fate has given me a second chance, I will not live such a pathetic life again, I sneered and calmly pulled my hand from Victoria's grasp. What are you so worked up about? Your editing is just checking for typos, right? You don't even understand the content of my work, so what difference does it make whether you edit it or not? Or, do you need my paper for something else? Perhaps because I had seen through her, or because it was the first time I had ever talked back with such scorn. Victoria's expression instantly became unnatural. She froze for a moment, then forced a smile and tried to hug me. Of course not. I was just worried about you, afraid you were too tired. You can give it to me next time. All right, let's not talk about it. Ethan and the others are waiting at the restaurant. I'll take you there. The mention of the restaurant reminded me. There had been a dinner like this in my past life, but I had been busy looking for references and declined the invitation. As a result, Victoria and Ethan spread rumors that I was petty and unsociable. Looking at Victoria's evasive eyes, my smile didn't reach my own. Since I already knew everything that was going to happen, this time I would make them experience my pain and pay the price. Chapter 02. Victoria seemed distracted the entire way there. It wasn't until she pushed open the door to the private room and saw the person she wanted to see that her heart seemed to come alive again. In front of Ethan, she was extra attentive to me, putting on her perfect girlfriend act. Babe, I've deboned this piece of fish for you. You can eat it directly, and this it's too spicy for you. Don't eat it. I didn't understand it before. I thought Victoria's meticulous care was a sign of her love for me. I never knew it was all a ploy to make Ethan jealous. Just like now, as she bustled around me, her eyes kept darting towards the man sitting across from us. Vicky, you two have been together for so long and you're still this lovey-dovey? You're a role model for us all. Yeah, Sincere, I'm so jealous. It's not easy to find someone who loves you this much. You two should get married after graduation. We're all waiting for the wedding invitation. Our classmates teased us good-naturedly. But at the mention of marriage, both Ethan and Victoria's expressions changed. Ethan's eyes instantly turned red. He picked up his glass and downed it in one gulp. Yeah, I'm really jealous of Sincere Smith, having someone who loves him so much. Unlike me, all alone. The person who promised to grow up with me doesn't want me anymore. Sorry, everyone. I'm not feeling well. I'm going to head out. You guys enjoy. Before leaving, Ethan gave Victoria a teary-eyed glance, and it was enough to carry all her thoughts away with him. Victoria was stunned. Ethan? Ethan, she shot up from her seat and rushed out after him, leaving me and the others to exchange confused looks. What's going on? Sincere, shouldn't you go check on them? I was speechless, the chopsticks in my mouth halfway to their destination. I didn't need to guess to know that Victoria was trying everything she could to appease her childhood friend. I really wasn't interested. But at everyone's urging, I got up and went out. I didn't expect to catch such a good show. The two of them weren't hard to find. They had just found a relatively hidden spot nearby. From behind a few boxes, I could clearly see Ethan pinning Victoria against the wall, kissing her passionately. I didn't make a sound, I just silently pressed the record button. Aren't you going to marry him? You treat him so well, love him so much, yet you dare to let me kiss you. Ethan's face was dark with jealousy, which only made Victoria kiss him again. Idiot, I'm only nice to him for your sake. Weren't you the one who was crying and throwing a fit, saying you'd marry whoever could get you that spot in the graduate program? I'm only with him to piss you off. It's your fault for being so stubborn and saying you have no feelings for me. Ethan's smile returned. I was just kidding and you took it seriously. So when are you planning to break up with him? I don't want to watch you two being all lovey-dovey forever. Don't worry, I've almost got his paper and thesis. Once you use his work to win the competition, the department will definitely give the spot to you. When it's all settled, we'll be together. Victoria patiently and meticulously soothed Ethan, vowing to use my life's work to build his ladder to success. Even though this was my second life and I already knew these two were a nest of vipers, hearing those words with my own ears still sent a pang of pain through my heart. I took a deep breath, stopped the recording, and turned back to the private room before they could spot me. Chapter 03. I returned just moments after them, so no one noticed anything was amiss. But when Ethan came back, his gaze towards me was filled with open provocation. Sorry, I was acting childish just now. I'll drink to that. But my stomach isn't great, so this glass... Vicky can drink it for me. Ethan smiled and handed the glass to Victoria, who, without a moment's hesitation, drank it down, her lips touching the same spot his had been. I sneered internally. It seemed they weren't even going to pretend in front of me anymore. Don't get the wrong idea. Vicky and I grew up together, we're like brothers. We're just used to this, Ethan said, then turned his gaze to me. Sincere, Victoria and I have been like this since we were kids. Don't mind us. Hearing this, I put down my chopsticks and wiped my mouth slowly. What's there to mind? Friends help each other out. It's normal. But, so it really is your stomach that's the problem. Victoria was always getting called away in the middle of the night. When I asked, she'd say you had a stomachache and needed looking after. I thought she was just making excuses. After all, who calls someone else's girlfriend over to their house in the dead of night, and for the whole night? Now that I know it's you, I feel much better. As soon as I said this, the others at the table looked like they had just been served some major gossip. After all, in all the years Victoria and I had been together, she had put on an excellent performance. To anyone watching, she seemed deeply in love with me. As for Ethan, he was just a very good, very close older brother figure. Who would have thought that? Beneath the calm surface lay such a disgusting truth. Victoria tried to speak up and explain several times, but I cut her off with new topics. I think she understood that once you miss the perfect moment to explain, anything you say later is meaningless. But what did that have to do with me? What I wanted was for her and Ethan to be utterly ruined. This was just the prelude. After a few rounds of drinks, everyone began to leave. Ethan had only had that one drink at the beginning, but now he was draped all over Victoria, acting as if he couldn't even walk. Vicky, I'm not feeling so good. Can you take me home? Never mind. Sincere will definitely be upset. You shouldn't worry about me. I'll go by myself. Ethan struggled to get up, but he just kept clinging to Victoria, not moving an inch. Victoria was already on edge because of what I'd said at the table. I knew her too well. Her image in the eyes of others was more important than anyone or anything. So, faced with Ethan's plea, she hesitated, but I spoke before she could, magnanimously letting her go. "I'm not mad. You should take Ethan home. I'm heading to the library to revise my paper. If you're coming back later, you can just find me there." My calm demeanor made Victoria frown slightly, but after considering her options, she ultimately chose the person she loved most. "I'll come find you in a bit then. Ethan's a lightweight, a little alcohol, and he's drunk. He can't manage without me." I didn't wait for Victoria to finish before getting into a car. Whoever was drunk, whoever was taking care of whom, it was all nonsense to me now, and I wasn't worried that Victoria wouldn't come back. After all, how could she pass up such a perfect opportunity? Chapter 04. Victoria did not disappoint me in the slightest. The library was empty as it neared closing time, which made it even easier to capture some criminal activity. I just told her I was going upstairs to look for some materials and asked her to watch my things. As expected, she couldn't resist copying my paper. Watching the live feed from the hidden camera on my phone, I couldn't help but curl my lips into a smile. She and Ethan really were a pair of idiots. I hid in a corner and waited patiently. When I saw she was almost finished, I pretended to rush back and slip the pinhole camera back into my bag. "Have you been waiting long?" I searched for ages but couldn't find what I was looking for. "Oh well, I'll deal with it tomorrow." I took Victoria's hand to leave, but she hesitated. "Sincere, I just remembered I have something to take care of. I can't go back with you. It's so late, can't it wait until tomorrow?" Victoria was firm, "No, and I'm going to be very busy for the next few days. Don't contact me unless you have to." She didn't even wait for my reply before slinging her bag over her shoulder and leaving. I watched Victoria's back as she walked further and further away, and the final piece of my well-formed plan fell into place. As Victoria had said, she didn't contact me for the next few days. It was Ethan who, eager to celebrate prematurely, hummed a tune as he blocked my path. He smugly handed me a stack of papers and tilted his chin up at me. "Take a look. Does the content look familiar?" I glanced down. "This is my thesis." Ethan burst out laughing and tapped the author's name on the top page. "Sorry, this is mine, and I submitted it to the department several days ago. Aren't you curious how your work ended up with me? Well, let me tell you. It's not just your thesis, even your woman is mine now. Where do you think Victoria has been these past few days when she wasn't with you? She's been with me every day, telling me how boring you are, how she can't stand you anymore. If I were you, I'd break up with her first. Save yourself the humiliation of being dumped." Ethan's laughter was sharp and piercing, a deliberate insult meant to see me break down. Unfortunately for him, my expression remained indifferent. I raised an eyebrow and handed the thesis back to him. "If you like it, you can have it. It's all trash anyway, just of a different species. The girl was just a casual fling, and the paper was something I whipped up without much thought. Only you would treat something of this level like a treasure. You should aim higher." You, Ethan, not expecting a comeback from the usually meek me, was speechless for a moment. His face flushed with anger, but then he seemed to figure something out and deflated. "I know, you're just trying to save face, acting tough. Let's see if you're still so cocky when the school officially gives the spot to me. And don't even bother trying to clear your name. You have no proof, and no one will believe you. Just sit back and wait to watch me take everything from you." He snorted, turned, and walked away, his head held high like an arrogant goose I'd often see on farming channels. I shrugged nonchalantly and pressed the stop button on my phone's audio recorder. He wanted to take my things? Let's see who plays rougher this time. Chapter 05. I had carefully revised the thesis that Victoria stole. Every detail was more rigorous, every expression more precise than the version from my previous life. I was 100% certain this paper would come out on top. Sure enough, a week later, the department's notice board posted the official list, with Ethan's name at the very top. The dean even decided to submit the paper to a competition. If it won, there would be a substantial cash prize. I stood at the end of the hallway, and from a distance I could hear the excited voices of two people in an empty classroom. The dean told me yesterday that the spot is basically mine. That bookworm Sincere Smith, so what if he knows I stole it? He wouldn't dare say a word. Victoria laughed and kissed Ethan. Even if he tried to cause you trouble, I wouldn't let him succeed. He's just a lovesick fool. A few sweet words from me and he'll get over it. Besides, he doesn't have a shred of evidence. What can he do to us?" Their unrestrained laughter echoed from the classroom, soon turning into the sounds of their passionate kissing. I avoided their line of sight as I passed by, snapping one more photo before I left and saving it to the folder I had already prepared. It was dozens of megabytes in size, filled with nothing but evidence. Now all the pieces were in place. I was just waiting for the right moment. I patiently waited for the day of Ethan's award ceremony. As I prepared to leave, my hands were shaking. I clearly remembered this day in my past life. As he achieved success, bathed in applause and love, I was writhing in a pool of my own blood. This time, I would make him and Victoria suffer the backlash. Ethan placed great importance on this award ceremony, arriving early with Victoria to prepare. I used this window of opportunity to send the folder to various university forums and hired a team of online posters to spread it like wildfire. I sat in the audience, quietly watching as the hashtags about Ethan and Victoria shot to the top of the trending lists in a short amount of time, while the two of them, completely oblivious, beamed with smiles, ready to accept an honor that wasn't theirs. A judge walked towards Ethan with the certificate. "Congratulations, Ethan Williams." Professor and assistant from backstage rushed out, interrupting the professor. She whispered a few words in his ear, and his face instantly changed. He looked back at Ethan with a scrutinizing gaze. I watched with great interest as the award presenters gathered together for a secret discussion, while Ethan stood on stage, flustered and nervous. "Ethan Williams, we've received a report with significant evidence suggesting that this thesis was plagiarized from someone else's work. Do you have any explanation?" Ethan panicked at the question, subconsciously shaking his head in denial. "No, I didn't plagiarize. I wrote all of this myself." "Ha, wrote it himself?" I let out a cold laugh and stood up abruptly in front of everyone. My voice boomed through the auditorium. "If I recall correctly, it was my paper you plagiarized." As the words left my mouth, I could feel all eyes in the room turn to me. Victoria, in the audience, was the first to realize something was wrong. She rushed over, trying to drag me out. "Sincere Smith, what nonsense are you talking about? Don't cause trouble, come with me now." I broke free from her grasp with all my strength and slapped her hard across the face, the force of it snapping her head to the side. "Leave? Why should I leave? You need to stay right here and watch the grand gift I've prepared for you and your precious Ethan." Chapter 06. Before Victoria could recover, I had pushed past her and walked towards the judges' panel. 5 printed copies of the evidence, one for each of the 5 judges. I started preparing the materials for my thesis 6 months ago, including the necessary literature and reference data. This contains all of my search history, and these are the chat records of my discussions with professional mentors in this field over that period. Every one of them can testify that I began planning this paper a long time ago. I spoke with conviction, explaining each piece of evidence in the materials. But even so, Ethan kept trying to argue, his eyes locked on me. "You're just spewing lies. I see you're just jealous that I won the award, so you're trying every trick to ruin me." "So what if you have that? It's not substantial proof. At most it proves our topics overlapped. It doesn't prove I stole your content." After hearing Ethan's words, I couldn't help but laugh out loud. How could someone be so stupid as to lead others step by step to their own exposure? Seeing my smile widen, the panic in Ethan's eyes became obvious. Under his gaze, I handed a USB drive to a staff member and crossed my arms, waiting for the show to begin. A moment later, the large screen displayed the image of Victoria and Ethan embracing, and their familiar conversation echoed through the hall. "So, when are you planning to break up with him? I don't want to watch you two being all lovey-dovey forever. Don't worry, I've almost got his paper and thesis. Once you use his work to win the competition, the department will definitely give the spot to you. When it's all settled, we'll be together." Then Victoria's face appeared on the big screen, focused on exporting all the data. The scene caused an uproar in the audience. Academic fraud is bad enough, but to use stolen work in a competition? Exactly, and then to falsely accuse the real author when they're found out. But this woman is disgusting, too, helping her side piece screw over her own boyfriend. What a piece of work. The surrounding jeers and insults deeply stung Victoria's pride. Her eyes turned crimson, and she strode up to me. "Sincere Smith, how far are you going to take this? I can explain about the thesis and Ethan. No matter how angry you are, you didn't have to make such a huge scene." I made a scene. She betrayed our relationship first. conspired with Ethan to steal my thesis, and robbed me of the recognition and honor that should have been mine. And now she had the audacity to accuse me of making a scene? I was completely disappointed with this woman's twisted logic. I angrily shook off her hand, wanting nothing more to do with her. Distinguished judges, esteemed professors on this matter, I can provide even more evidence to prove that Ethan Williams plagiarized my academic work without my consent. Therefore, I request that all his previously awarded spots and prizes be revoked, and I demand that he and Victoria Johnson apologize to me in front of the entire student body. Ethan was already furious, and hearing my conditions, he rushed down from the stage, looking like he wanted to beat me to death. But before he could get close, a professor stopped him with a sharp rebuke. "What do you think you're doing? Is this a place for you to act like a hooligan? This student has already presented various pieces of evidence proving this thesis is his work. If you disagree, then present your own evidence. What good does attacking someone do?" Ethan's eyes darted around, avoiding the gazes from the judges' panel. He mumbled that he hadn't kept any evidence. Of course he hadn't. There was no evidence for him to keep in the first place. The professor saw through his act at a glance. After a brief discussion with the other teachers, he nodded. "We agree with the student's statement. Someone with such poor moral character is not fit to continue studying at our university. You two are expelled. Before you leave, you will make a public apology to him in front of the entire university." Chapter 07. Walking out of the auditorium, I took a deep breath of fresh air. A true sense of rebirth washed over me. This time, I didn't let myself be pushed into a corner. Instead, I gave them a swift and powerful counterattack. I deliberately chose a time when they would be too busy to manage the situation to amplify the public outcry. By the time they had a chance to react, it was already too late. I idly scrolled through the comments under the trending topics. Ethan was handsome and had a small following in his social circles. When he first got the guaranteed spot, a bunch of people online were praising him for being both talented and good-looking. Now that the truth was out, the backlash was even more severe. I thought he was so brilliant, but I watched his old videos and found typos in his captions. When people pointed them out, he cursed at them, and he calls himself a sophisticated intellectual. No matter how much you market yourself, anyone who does something like this can't be a good person. He should be deplatformed. Some fellow students, filled with righteous anger, explained the story of the three of us in greater detail, leading to an outpouring of support for me. This girl pretended to be so in love with her boyfriend at school every day, bringing him breakfast, always by his side. Turns out she was doing something so shameless behind his back. I always had a bad feeling about that guy. The girl has a boyfriend, but he's always using the friend excuse to ask for her help. I heard from a senior that he would call the girl over to his place in the middle of the night and pretend to be drunk so she wouldn't leave. That's so disgusting. I feel for the guy. Hey, I found his personal social media account. How could someone so handsome be betrayed like that? That girl must be blind reading this. I belatedly opened my social media and realized I had gained a lot of followers without even noticing. Many people left me messages, praising my courage for exposing them. Even more used my platform to share their own similar experiences. If even I could see some of the insults directed at Victoria and Ethan, I could only imagine that the storm they were facing was far more brutal. I just didn't expect that Victoria, who was in deep trouble herself, would have the nerve to ask me to let Ethan off the hook. On my way home, I saw a woman bundled up, waiting downstairs. I was puzzled and about to take a detour when she recognized me. She ran over to me, and it was only then that I realized it was Victoria, whom I hadn't seen in a while. "Sincere Smith, I need to talk to you. Unfortunately, I have nothing to say to you." Sincere Smith, seeing that I was about to leave, Victoria quickly grabbed my arm, her tone still carrying that same nauseating arrogance from before. "Sincere Smith, can you please clarify that Ethan is innocent? Just say it was all a misunderstanding, that you overthought our relationship." Sincere Smith, Ethan has been cyberbullied for days. He cries every day and is too scared to even leave the house. If this continues, something bad will happen to him. I know you still have feelings for me. That's why you did all this to target him. I promise you, if you're willing to clear his name, then Victoria looked at me and closed her eyes as if making a great sacrifice before finishing her sentence. "Then I'll stay with you forever and never think about another man again." It turns out that when you're truly speechless, you really do laugh. I sighed, not knowing whether to mock her naivety or praise her confidence. Victoria, can you send me a link to that shamelessness of yours? Who are you putting on this pitiful, self-sacrificing act for? What makes you think I'm still hung up on you? And who gave you the confidence to think you have any right to negotiate with me? Let me tell you, you and Ethan getting what you have now is exactly what you deserve. Don't expect me to forgive either of you. You two owe me a life and I won't forget it. And besides, this isn't my final goal. I've already started the process of suing you for plagiarism and academic theft. Victoria, if you knew this was coming, why did you do it in the first place? Remembering the weightless feeling of falling, my fingertips still trembled. But soon the fear from my past life was replaced by a sense of fulfillment in this one. I could truly feel that I was alive, completely free from the despair of before. I smiled and threw the words Victoria had once said to me right back at her. Stop being so dramatic. It's just a few insults online. If you just bear with it, it'll blow over. Chapter 08. Victoria refused to believe I had no feelings left for her, convinced that everything I said was just out of anger. I couldn't be bothered to argue with her anymore. I slapped her again and went home. I thought that would be the end of it for a while, but the next day in class, a classmate secretly shared a video with me. It was a recording of a live stream, and the person in it was Ethan. He tearfully recounted his and Victoria's lifelong bond, claiming they were mutually in love and that everyone around them could see the romantic tension. But according to him, I knew everything and still insisted on forcing my way in. Victoria and I have known each other for over 20 years. She cares about me, I care about her. Everyone thought we were a couple, but after Sincere Smith showed up, he started clinging to Victoria every day. Even though he knew I liked her, he still pursued her aggressively. Isn't that a form of cheating too? Victoria and I were meant for each other. If it weren't for him, we would have been together long ago. He's wronged both me and Victoria, and a man like that wants a public apology from me. In his dreams, this bizarre worldview once again boggled my mind. I quietly saved the video and began organizing all the evidence I could use to respond. My family wasn't wealthy, but in my years at university, my scholarships covered all my expenses with plenty to spare. I remembered that when Victoria first pursued me, she would buy small trinkets to make me happy. After we got together, I paid for almost everything when we went out to eat or shop. The gifts and holiday money transfers were often in the thousands of dollars. I had never treated her poorly in this relationship, so Ethan's accusations were completely baseless. Shortly after Ethan posted his video, I released all the chat logs from when Victoria was first pursuing me. Her words were intimate, her technique skilled. How could anyone say I was the one clinging to her? Moreover, the expense records from the past few years made it clear to anyone that I was the one providing her with a good material life. So, the public didn't buy Ethan's sob story. Getting cheated on is bad enough, but having to pay to support a parasite too. If you think your dog is so great, why don't you keep it on a leash? All that money and effort, you could have raised a loyal puppy with that. Instead, you get a girlfriend who's an ungrateful backstabber. Truly disgusting. Ethan's attempt at playing the victim was an undeniable failure. Not only that, but his account was also banned across all platforms. Occasionally, you could still see him in some gossip videos. But I knew my goal was far from accomplished. I couldn't take their lives, but I could take their freedom. I submitted the materials, layer by layer, for review. It was only when the authorities came looking for Victoria and Ethan that they finally realized I wasn't joking about suing them. When the officials arrived, the two of them were in the middle of giving their public apology to the entire student body. Ethan had finally cracked under the pressure of public opinion. Every word he spoke was met with a torrent of abuse, and the classmates who had been friendly with him had all distanced themselves overnight. Even when he walked on campus, he would be accidentally hit by stray soccer balls. As for Victoria, she was even worse off, constantly sporting new bruises from mysterious accidents. Before the old ones could heal, new ones would appear. I stood in the audience, listening to their confessionals without a flicker of emotion. They weren't remorseful, they were just scared and had had enough. If this hadn't affected them, they would have continued on their merry way, leaving me to rot like a pile of mud. Chapter 09. The scene at the summons was chaotic. Victoria and Ethan had never experienced anything like this. Seeing people come to take them away, they shrank back in fear. I'm not going with you. I've already apologized. I said I was sorry, don't take me. Please, I'm begging you, don't arrest me, Sincere Smith. Sincere Smith. Tell them they must have the wrong person. Their cries and pleas echoed through the microphones to every corner of the venue. I watched coldly as they broke down, screaming and refusing to cooperate. Their tantrum became a spectacle for the crowd, with countless people holding up their phones to record the scene. In the end, the scene concluded with both of them being taken away. Because the evidence was irrefutable, the conviction process was exceptionally smooth. Before being led away by the prison guards, Ethan didn't forget to snarl at me. "You think you're so clever, don't you? Why should you have everything from birth?" "I just couldn't stand seeing you have it so easy, so I wanted to take everything from you. You think I actually like Victoria? As if. If I really liked her, we would have gotten together long ago. She was just a lapdog, perfect for pissing you off. How does that feel, huh? The woman you love not only gets stolen by someone else, but is also treated like dirt. Are you furious?" Looking at Ethan's smug face, I suddenly felt he was pathetic, his mind filled with nothing but this petty nonsense. I shook my head and smiled. "Unfortunately for you, I stopped loving her a long time ago. Staying with her was all part of the trap to watch you two get what you deserve. Now that you've gotten it, I'm finally free. And thank you for helping me see a person for who they really are." Failing to get the reaction he wanted, Ethan grew even angrier. He tried to lunge at me several times before he was forcibly sedated and taken away. As for Victoria, after being imprisoned, she repeatedly requested to see me. I refused every time. After the dust settled, the university returned the graduate spot and the award that rightfully belonged to me. I thought about it, and the day before I left the country, I went to see Victoria. She was much thinner. The moment she saw me, she started apologizing profusely, saying she knew she was wrong. I cut her off. "Victoria, I'm leaving the country." Her expression froze. "Are you coming back?" "I don't know. Probably not. You don't have to look so regretful. You never liked me when we were together anyway. You're not sad because of me. You're sad because your carelessness cost you a long-term meal ticket. That's not true sincere being in here. All this time I've realized that my head is full of thoughts of you. I hate myself for not appreciating what I had. I only realized how good you were after I lost you. I'm sorry, it was my fault." Victoria's face was filled with remorse and grief, as if she truly regretted her actions. But I knew the only person she had ever loved was herself. "You don't need to apologize to me because I will never forgive you. Let me tell you, I once had a dream. In the dream, you made the same choice. You gave my thesis to Ethan, helping him climb up by stepping all over me. You two even conspired to have me killed, and you chose the day he won his award to have him propose. For a long time, I kept wondering what was wrong with me. But then I realized it wasn't that I didn't do enough. It was that you weren't worth it. Victoria, you don't deserve the love I gave you." My words were blunt and harsh. Victoria didn't argue or get angry. She just remained silent. Seeing there was nothing more to say, I stood up to leave. As I walked out the door, I heard her tapping on the glass. I looked back. She moved her lips. She was mouthing the words, "I'm sorry." I didn't respond. I just walked out the main gate into the light. Chapter 10. After moving abroad, everything was new, full of curiosity and challenges. Almost without trying, the matter of Victoria and Ethan faded to the back of my mind. I continued my routine between the university and my dorm, occasionally joining my professor at academic exchange seminars. Some might call my life dull and boring, but I enjoyed it. At another quarterly seminar, I was rushing with a coffee in hand. Just as I was about to enter the room, I bumped into a young woman spilling coffee all over her coat. I apologized profusely, but she stood against the light, not saying a word about compensation, just looking at me intently. When I came to my senses, I looked down at her. Her camel-colored wool coat seemed to glow warmly in the sunlight, as if dispelling some of the winter's chill. After a long moment, she suddenly smiled and extended her hand to me. "Hi, I'm Anna Wright." I was stunned for a second, then politely returned her smile. "Hello, Sincere Smith." This time, the first chapter of my own story had finally begun.